I don't think so. I don't think so. Whatever number comes next is not going to be 1,000.
Don't you know that the first 1,000 is the easiest?
Yeah, they say. No, I go one at a time and see what happens. Take it from there.
What did you guys play offensively? The numbers 20 and 25 after halftime. It's like you got to a nice rhythm. You got to the free throw line more than you have all year. Are you pretty happy with what you saw?
Yeah, I thought the first 20 minutes were pointless. I mean, it's just another example, another reminder, I guess, that you know, no matter how many plays we make or how many games we play that look great, you know, there's always going to be days where you just can't get into any kind of rhythm. You can't connect with each other, and there was no flow to the offense. There's very little going on, and I thought the second half was way better. You know, it kind of started off that way. The first minute or 2, 3 minutes of the second half, you could see that it was going to be different, and then it just carried over to the rest of the game.
When a team that flows so well doesn't flow, is that just human nature?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Stewie didn't look like the best player in the country. You know, this is that time when the guys who have the most invested in your team, your 2 seniors, this is when they start to play great every night. You know, they know they have a limited number of games left. So, you know, Bree and Stephanie are going to be there every night. That's no question. They don't have bad days. They don't have mental lapses. They don't get themselves in you know, in any kind of a funk. I don't think that when you're a senior at Connecticut, that's not who you are. You know, you don't do that. But the younger guys, you know, it's human nature for them. Absolutely.
Bree is 5th in your program's history of minutes played. Stephanie 5th in games started. How much of a benefit is it for you to have those 2 guys that you know night in and night out what you're going to get from those 2 in particular?
Yeah, that's the comforting part that you have with those 2, especially. Knock on wood, you know, they're consistent, and that's the best thing you can say about anybody. They're the same. You don't get the tremendous highs and the tremendous lows. You get pretty consistent play. You know, Bria Hartley's a very competitive individual, and that doesn't mean that everything goes right for her every single night, or that she has, you know, a great game every night. But she's a very competitive person, and every time you challenge her to do something, she tries really hard to do it. And Stephanie, you know, what can you say about, you know, how hard she's worked during the last 3 3/4 seasons? When you have 2 seniors like we do, you can win a lot of games. You can be really successful. All you have to do is just surround them with the right people, and they certainly are. So on those nights when it's a little bit of a struggle, those 2 make sure that that it works out.
Geno, did Kalina have her checkup on Friday? Did Kalina have a checkup on Friday about her condition?
Yeah, she's making great progress. You know, there was no setback, no nothing. So we are going to get back late, or early, I should say, Wednesday morning. So we're going to take a look at her again on Thursday and see where it goes. And if she looks good, then we can start getting her back out there. And if not, then we got to wait. But there certainly was no setback, and you know, all the information that I got was really good.
Sounds more encouraging.
Yeah, more encouraging than discouraging, for sure.
Right.
For sure.
I'm sorry. What did you talk about at halftime? Because you had mentioned, you know, this would be a hard game to play. It's an empty gym. It's dark, and you beat them by 50, and you're on the road. Did you have to adjust anything after the first half with them? Because the second half was definitely more energetic.
Yeah, the second half. Well, I should say at halftime we talked about some things I just mentioned, that You you have to play regardless of who you're playing against, regardless of where you're playing, regardless of what time of day. If you're going to put your sneakers on and go out on the court, you got to play. And sometimes kids, you know, human nature, as John said, you just go, you know, we're going to win, what's the point? Well, there is a lot of point. If there wasn't a point to it, then we should have just called them up and said, look, last time we beat you by this much, why don't we just make that score again, the same exact thing, and call it a day? You know, if you're going to come down here, you got to play, so you got to play. And I don't think, other than the two seniors, we did any of that. And there wasn't, believe me, the days of ranting and raving at halftime, they're very, very few and far in between for me. And as I said, they're a pretty competitive bunch, and that's where you need your bench. You know, people talk about, well, you know, you got the best starting five in America. Well, we don't have the best starting five in America right now. We have the best starting four, you know, and we don't have the best bench in America, you know. So we need to play, you know. That doesn't mean we need to play great every night, but we need to play. We need to play with a lot of energy. We need to play with a certain sense of, you know, we're not playing against Houston. No disrespect to them. Or we're not playing against SMU on Tuesday. This isn't what we're all about in Connecticut. We're not down here. Yeah, win or lose. Yeah, you know, you want to win. I understand that, but that's not the point. You know, the point isn't just to see how much you can win by. The final score isn't going to help you win in the NCAA tournament. We're trying to prepare for the NCAA tournament. You know, so we didn't come down here just to see what the final score was going to be against Houston. And I think sometimes that's what kids fall into. So you got to really be wary of that.
You guys don't shoot free throws as much as you like. Was it the game being called that way, or were you guys being more aggressive, getting to the rim and then getting yourself to the free throw line?
I think a little bit of both. I think the Houston kids, you know, they've got some quickness out there, and they play hard. You know, they're competing out there. You know, they want to play. They want to play well. And we made a concerted effort to put the ball in the lane, whether it was throw it inside or drive it to the basket. That's why I was disappointed in Stewie in the first half, because she made no attempt to go in the lane. She went in there one time, you know, took 2 dribbles, wanted to do an up and under on a kid that's 6 feet tall, and then got bored and got caught for 3 seconds. So, you know, the game plan was, let's make sure we get into the lane. And I thought for the most part we did.
Geno, injuries aside and the things you can't control about manpower and personnel, all the other things that you look at, that you evaluate when you determine whether or not this team has a capability of winning a national championship, do you see those characteristics? Are you pleased with what you see, or the demographics of the team, so to speak, or is it there?
Well, I mean, if you're telling me that right now we're a way better team than the team that won the national championship, I would tell you we're not. You know, you can't take Kelly Farris, Kalina Lewis, and Morgan Tuck out of our lineup and replace it with Sinai Chong and say, well, you guys are way better than you were last year. That's not the case. We're not. That doesn't mean we can't win it. That doesn't mean when Kalina comes back you know, we're going to be lucky to win it. No, I don't mean that. I just think that right now, given the 2 people that aren't playing, we're not as good a team as we were last year in March. So we've got to do some things between now and then. You know, our margin of error is obviously way smaller than it was last year. So can we win? Do we have the players and the kind of makeup to win a national championship? Yeah. So there's probably 3 or 4 other teams in the country. But if Kalina doesn't come back, you know, Kalina were not to come back, and we have exactly who we have today, I would tell you that our chances would not be as great as they were when we started the Stanford game. That's for sure.
You got SMU on Tuesday, another team you'd rather soundly at home. What do you take from today that maybe helps you Tuesday?
I think the atmosphere will be a little bit different on Tuesday. I think SMU probably has a greater tradition of, of winning in women's basketball. They've got a new arena, so I think the environment will be a little bit different, and that automatically makes it different for your team. But sometimes you need a game like this to remind you that if you're not paying attention, if you're not really actively working at it, you can just get lulled. And maybe this is, that first 20 minutes is just a reminder. And better that we get those 20 minutes as a reminder than me trying to remind them all the time. We're going to go to Dallas. We're going to play SMU on Tuesday, and we're going to play great. I'm convinced.